You're listening to the Heroes Power presented by BlizzPro.com. Your hosts, Balrog fan Zexorus and DJ Tyrant. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Heroes Power Hour. This is a Heroes of the Storm podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com. We talk about everything to do with Heroes of the Storm. I am your host, DJ Tyrant, and with me is the always awesome crew. To my right, to my direct right, we have a very different looking Balrog fan. How you doing, man? You look a little lighter there.
Yeah, I had to get rid of the beard. Obviously, it's the end of the summer. I had to prepare, so I got rid of the beard. I do things backwards.
Do what you gotta do, man. Right next to him is Zexorus. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to a really good show lined up for us today. And yeah, if you're watching the pre-show, the lack of beard is why I can't take Charlie seriously anymore. He's lost all credibility in my eyes.
Poor Charlie.
He doesn't even listen to me anymore. I used to shot call, now he just tells me grow a beard.
It's true, I did it.
Oh my goodness. But right below Zexorus, we have Artifice. How are you doing, Artifice?
I am spectacular. How are you?
I'm good. Really excited to be back to the show again this week and talking heroes. And right under me is P Flame G, newly married. So congratulations, Carl.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good because that whole newly married thing. It's nice. It's nice.
Most definitely. But anyways, this is once again a show about Heroes of the Storm. Thank you everyone for coming and checking this out. We did kind of tease a little bit in Twitter that we are going to be giving away a Battle.net gift card, so stick around for that. It won't be right at the end of the show, I promise you, as Charlie's showing it off right there. So, but we will be giving that away in a little bit, probably about half an hour. So
Maybe.
We'll see. Maybe. We'll see.
Might be 40 minutes, might be 20 minutes, who knows?
Who knows? You'll have to stick around. But anyways, thank you everyone for coming out, and thank you once again for Blizzard promoting us on the launcher. That is so cool. I will never get tired of that being on the launcher. That is like the coolest thing.
You mean that face?
Yeah.
Making?
No. Just the promotion of our show.
Jimmy never gets tired of looking at himself. Ever.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
would you, Charlie?
No. If I had Jimmy's face, I'd do the show in front of a mirror. I wouldn't
Oh
even
my goodness.
have
But yeah, we will get started into our games, how we did this week in Heroes of the Storm, and just talk about our week in gaming. I'll start it off though. I played a little bit of Team League with one of our viewers and a couple other the co-hosts. Carl, you just like trying to keep in from laughing there. It looks like you're just like ready to die there. I'm like trying to hold this together. It's okay. I just looked over and saw your face, and it was wonderful. But yeah, played some Team League this week. It was a lot of fun, and I got to shot call a little bit on. I don't even remember who I played, but I shot called on a hero, and then played Vikings on Garden Terror, and that was totally fun. It reminds me why I love playing Vikings on that map, even though I hate Garden as much as everyone else.
Deems it.
Yeah, the Vikings.
I thought we established so that Charlie and I actually love that map.
Yeah, we love that map.
We're like the only ones.
I think you are.
Sent to your hate camp.
I think you are the only ones. But yeah.
Hey,
The Artifice.
you want to talk about hate, Willie Battlefield?
Battlefield.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. See that?
Battlefield's so much worse.
If you had to choose between Garden or Battlefield, you would choose Garden.
I would.
I would uninstall. I'll find something else to do with my time, thanks, though.
Oh man, but Charlie, how about you? How was your week in Heroes? I know you were streaming a little bit before the show. I caught a little bit of that, and it looked like you guys were having a lot of fun just playing around in unranked.
Yeah, I did some unranked mode. I got to pick all my usual haunts of characters like Uther and Tychus and Kerrigan, and a lot of fun. We had a mixed bag as far as our win loss results go, but it was a good time. I I've been I want to play more, but I also just got an Xbox One, so I've been obsessed with that too. So I'm trying to balance it out better.
Well, that and you're also in the middle of your 52 game challenge to beat 52 games over a year.
This is true. Yes.
I know you've got a little bit ahead on that because you got some of those Mega Mans under your belt.
Yeah. I started on the 6th of this month, and I've got 7 games done, so not too shabby.
Nice. Good start.
Yeah, it's fun. I encourage anyone to try and do that. If you like other games besides Heroes, it's hard because Heroes is such a great game. But if you play other games, challenge yourself to beat 52 games in a year. See if you can do it. It's kind of a fun thing to do as a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more inclined to play random games I used to play or just new games because of this.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. But Zex, how was your week in the gaming world of Heroes?
Got a few. I haven't had a whole lot of time this week to play really much of anything, but I did get a couple of games earlier today off with Balrog Fan, and it was pretty fun. I convinced him to play Cho'Gall, and that was enjoyable, despite losing.
You were an excellent pilot.
I am always an excellent pilot. Thank you. We didn't die at all. Especially not that first minute.
Definitely didn't get very aggressive on 4 people.
Convinced. I don't know. What was Matt playing during that?
What was that?
What was Matt playing during that? Cho'Gall?
Charism. He had a support daily.
Nice.
Yeah. But, other than that, it's just been trying to relax, wind down, stuff like that, and just get back into my regular schedule for playing Heroes and stuff like that, and it'll work itself out.
There you go. Artifice, how about you? I know you I don't know if you want to share it on the show, but you kind of had a funny moment in Hero League a little bit.
God, which one? Most of it I can't actually say in a public setting where politeness is encouraged.
I thought it was neat the person recognized you from the show.
Oh, yeah, that was Deathan. I was in draft for Hero League, and the first thing he says is, "Are you Artifice from the stream that was on the launcher?" And I was like, do I answer this or do I avoid it? But we ended up playing probably about 24 games together in the last 3 days after that. Good person to play with, but it was kind of neat. It was just like somebody remembered me. That was cool.
No, it's awesome.
The games were balanced. We had kind of I've been like win-win-loss has been my pattern for the last 2 days. Literally, every 3 games is win-win-loss.
Not an awful pattern.
I know. I'm still noticing a lot of Kerrigan picks and bans. And I've been noticing a lot more Vala and Jaina this week.
Everyone's getting excited for that Vala rework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to see.
We were talking about it earlier, too. There's a lot more Nazebo running around, within the past, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. That's always a fun character to see. Shameless plug, the new Overwatch map is out on the PTR.
Woo! I'm sorry, are we on the payload?
I mean, you're the tank, so...
Stop it.
Sorry.
Moving on, Carl.
Carl, save
I
us.
played some unranked with y'all last night, just a little bit, which was fun. I played some Hero League today and dropped down to Diamond 3, which was sad. But I'm just getting back into it. I took a lengthy break for wedding things, so relearning how to play this game.
You knew how to play it in the first place?
Not really.
I didn't think so.
True.
Anyways,
Higher than any of us, so let's
let's
go
dig
ahead
into the
and
real.
play.
Let's dig into the real big news of this week as Blizzard announced a patch coming out tomorrow with some pretty significant changes to some key heroes in the meta right now. I was going to just highlight these because I feel like we can really, really dig deep into these. But Greymane is going to be the big one here.
Yes.
His Razor Swipe, the Q, getting reduced in damage from 159 to 135. Go for the Throat, damage is getting significantly reduced as well, 420 to 355. Marked for the kill, the heroic that no one takes, damage increased from 68 to 190. Blizzard saying,
like that's almost triple.
Please take this heroic. So we'll have to see what happens there.
They're like, nah, I can still miss it.
And then in the realm of talents, level 1 Wolfheart, its cooldown reduction per attack reduced from 1 to 0.8 seconds. So a little bit of a nerf there. Eyes in the Dark, the stealth duration reduced from 4 to 3 seconds. At level 7, Incendiary Elixir increased the damage bonus per quest attack from 10 to 15 and increased the maximum damage bonus from 150 to 225. So Poke Greymane is back, apparently. Level 20, Unleashed. The damage bonus per kill increased from 25 to 35%, up to a maximum of 140%. Where does this put Greymane, guys? Carl, I know you've played a pretty good amount of Greymane. What do you think from these changes just on paper?
He's really good right now. This is gonna hurt. It's a significant change, so I can't tell. I think he'll still be decent. It might put him on like Bala tier. I don't think it's gonna you'll still see him when people need it. But especially combined with the Tyrael nerfs that we'll see later, I think his priority drops a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just a really good character, so I don't think he's complete trash. But I don't know. I don't know what everyone else says.
Yeah, I think they didn't incentivize the new ultimate enough to still, get people off of Go for the Throat. Go for the Throat is such a in-your-face strong ability that weighed against the potential of just outright missing a very, very precise skill shot. It's hard to want to pick Mark for the kill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you guys on this. I mean, it's just like Jimmy said. Poke Greymane is going to make a comeback, and it doesn't. The changes really don't take away from how strong he is still. I mean, Eyes in the Dark did need that second cooldown, but it's still going to get picked. And really, the only thing that's changing is people are going to take Incendiary Elixir more often, so that poke's just going to come back full force. So, really, I don't even really see him dropping in viability. So, but you might pick other assassins over him in certain comps, whereas Greymane right now could literally go into any comp and fit just fine. So
I do think the Eyes of the Dark change is going to really affect the pro scene a little bit, because the second obviously is a huge deal, and that's probably the biggest change that we'll see. It's going to make him a little less safe, so you won't be able to play quite as aggressive. So look to see Greymane get blown up a little more, maybe, but still be as effective damage-wise as he always has been.
I don't know. I think that's something. The more significant nerfs are damage-wise. Just those base Q damage nerf, R damage nerf, and then he'll have less abilities to use with Wolfheart nerf. So,
yeah, no, you're not wrong.
So,
maybe people just have to play him a bit safer. I'm not sure the full effect of these changes on Greymane. We obviously haven't had a chance to play with these just yet, but tomorrow we'll see what goes on with that. And also during PAX for the North American Regionals, this is the patch they're actually going to be playing on, which is something I wanted to talk about after we discuss a couple more of these changes, kind of what our thoughts are on that. It's a big controversy right now, kind of in the esports scene. Gul'dan, he's getting a huge amount of changes as well. Echoed Corruption at level 1 is talent. Number of hits required to complete the quest increased from 30 to 35. At level 7, Curse of Exhaustion, also on his E ability, slow duration increased from 2 to 2.5 seconds. At level 13, the Fell Armor talent ability damage reduction increased from 30 to 40%. And at level 16, Rampant Hellfire damage bonus increase from 6% per stack, 30% max, to 8% per stack, 40% max. And the Darkness Within trait on that same talent tier, damage bonus increase from 20 to 25%. So, actually, I said these were big changes. They're pretty minor changes, actually, to his damage here. I actually haven't played any Gul'dan yet still, so I'm not sure how these changes will really affect him, but the slow duration will definitely be nice, increased there on that Curse of Exhaustion. Maybe being able to pick off a couple more kills than you usually would be able to with that.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was writing a build for Gul'dan to put on heroesofthestorm.blizzpro.com, and all these talents are talents that are part of my build. And in the build, I list why you should take these particular talents, and now I have to go back before I publish that article, which is going to go up tomorrow, and list the changes, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. The extra half second on Curse of Exhaustion is going to be really good. The increased number of hits on Echoed Corruption is kind of negligible, just because that's a really good talent for Gul'dan. You are literally getting essentially double hits out of it. So, I mean, what's there not to take about that? I think I do skip Fel Armor in favor of something else. I don't have the build right in front of me right now, but the Rampant Hellfire, that's really good. Like, I love that stack. Just because you're always chucking out Fel Flames, and there's no reason to take it. The AoE is really good. It's a really good cooldown. I mean, this is going to make him, honestly, I think, a little more viable in the long run.
I think it's very telling in the developers' comments where they say he has an acceptable win rate in the hands of experienced players, which shows that Gul'dan is not a weak hero. He's just someone you need a lot of experience playing. There have been heroes throughout Heroes of the Storm where some of them are very pick up and play, and they're so much like another hero that you get it right away. And then there are other heroes that are good, but they take a lot of practice. I think Lunara falls in that category. I think Lunara's always been strong, especially after the buffs, but she's not someone you can really just kind of pick once or twice when in a flex pick where they're saying like, hey, Lunara's good here, pick that character. You can't really do that with her, and it's the same with Gul'dan. You need to be good with Gul'dan and go, hey, I got a Gul'dan for this spot in our draft, as opposed to a Kel'Thas, a Li Ming, an ETC, whatever. Characters that are just baseline, really good and accepted as meta picks. Vikings is another great example. You need practice on Vikings. Gul'dan's kind of falling into that same category, and more talent variety is always welcome, especially when it's just pretty much straight buffs across the board outside of Echoed Corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the thing with Gul'dan is you have to juggle your health and mana simultaneously. Like if you're out of mana and low health, you're pretty much forced to back just completely. But once you start juggling your health and your mana pool very well, you're absolutely terrifying, because you're never going to be completely out of mana. You're always going to have extra mana on deck. You're going to have extra health regen on deck via the life drain. A competent Gul'dan is absolutely terrifying to play against. And then you factor in things like his Horrify. Taking control away from a hero is always king. It's just simply I'm surprised he's not getting picked more already.
A lot of people in chat are pointing out his strength really shines in a 1v1 scenario too, so that'll lend it to certain maps where there's going to be a lot of team fights and less rotations. He might not be as good, but in a place like Dragonshire, where those 1v1 scenarios happen a lot, he's probably a strong pick there and in the hands of an experienced player.
Everyone sleeps on Corruption. It feels like it doesn't do a lot of damage, and then you're running back to your well to tap, and then you still die after you tap it. Like, it's a ridiculous amount of damage, and like buffing echoing corruption is just even better. Like adding that extra slow.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, adding that extra half second of slow means you can get, a full duration life tap off, or you can get 2 to 3 more fell flames onto them. It's really good. I think he's gonna start getting picked a lot more with these changes.
And Artifice, you've been playing a lot more than probably all of us in the past week or two. Have you noticed any trends with Gul'dan? Do you have any strong feelings towards him?
I've only seen him a few times because, like you said, he's kind of a niche pick, but I feel like these changes are a big balance factor. Like you said, with the characters that are good, like Abathur and Vikings, I feel like Gul'dan is in that category. Not quite as difficult as Medivh, but these changes are kind of like a booster seat because, from my perspective, he's based on your classic Affliction Warlock, and Affliction Warlocks weren't meant to be like the Jaina and the Kael'thas with this huge damage. They're meant to be a pain over time and cause your death that way. With Greymane, the changes seem more like a let's make this character less of a button mash kill everything and take more skill to actually okay, let me pause before I pick him. What else could I do? Is this actually going to be good for me, or are the changes not my thing? But
they almost had to respond to something like that with someone as I won't say brain dead, but just very strong and easy to use like Greymane after the recent tracer changes where they were you need to have a high skill cap to play this character. Oh, by the way, don't pay attention to what Greymane's doing to everybody.
Yeah, Gul'dan, I haven't had the chance to play him yet. I just got him because I was away so long. I'm excited to play him because I like characters that are not just button mash, kill everything, I'm not having fun. I also think he's one of those characters because when you see the professional level games and you see the same characters over and over again getting banned and picked, it kind of gets a little stale for me to watch that. So I like having more options because you like seeing those teams that pick something that you weren't expecting and you want them to win because they chose that, because that's something you play and you enjoy.
Yeah, that's always hype. You see him at BlizzCon and tend to lose your mind.
Dude, everyone goes bananas. But moving on to a character I have played, Ariel, who, by the way, got reduced to 10,000 gold today. Woo. So if you were waiting for that, she is now down to 10k.
2,000 more gold, and I'm going to buy her.
Yep. But she is seeing a significant number of changes as well. The basic attack damage for her is getting increased from 48 to 60, and her Q, the Sacred Sweep, is getting a little bit of a damage nerf. The outer damage reduced from 80 to 75, and inner damage reduced from 160 to 150. The Resurrect Heroic is getting changed as well. The cooldown is being reduced from 90 to 70 seconds, and the range is increasing from 4 to 5.
So is that not the go-to if they're buffing it?
It is the go-to. That's the thing. I think they're just let's make it better. I don't know. I've seen nothing but Resurrect when I've played, and it's always impactful when in the hands of a good support.
Yeah,
it's always really good on a tank.
Oh yeah, allowing your tank to come back into the fight is really cool.
I've seen a whole lot of Crystal Aegis being picked, because people sleep on the damage it puts out after it explodes. I've seen, I don't know if it's just sloppy play, whatever, but it puts out a deceptive amount of damage. If you're low health and you're sticking around too long and that Crystal Aegis pops, you're probably dying as soon as it does.
That lends itself more to a specific team comp, though, right? Resurrect is kind of all-purpose. Kind of like the difference between, no, that's not a good example. Medevac is trash, but there's no point in taking it if you don't have somebody who's going to take advantage of it. Whereas Resurrect's always good.
She absolutely needed that basic attack damage buff, though. Like, you just didn't run from an Ariel who was just right-clicking you. You just didn't do it.
I think
I mean, and that's
like
the way she
her
builds
damage,
energy, right? So
Yeah, she's in a unique situation that this is her ability basically to get her power to heal is through damage she does herself and through the target that she bestows or whatever it's called. I can't remember it. But yeah, these are some cool changes and also talent changes as well. I'll go through this really quickly here. Level 1, increasing clarity for the Q. Lower the quest bonus damage for each stack from 3 to 2. Increase the number of hits required to complete the quest from 20 to 25. And the quest completion bonus is increased from 60 to 70. So basically they're just changing the amount of damage each stack does. But the total damage that you'll get for completing the quest remains the same at 120.
yeah, so it's weaker while you're building it and early on, and then it's the same strength when it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they just thought it was providing too much benefit before it finished.
Yeah, so if you're playing the Heroes Powerhour bingo at home, I'm going to say a word that's on there that's a quality of life change for Ariel.
A shot every time you hear Ginny say quality of life change.
There we go. Level 7, the empathetic link is getting changed. Energy reduced from 25 to 20% of bestows hope target damage taken. So a little bit less gain for that ability there.
and it needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wouldn't even put bestow hope on your damage dealer. You would just drop it on your tank with emphatic link.
Mm-hmm.
And you would get just as much benefit, if not more, via that.
Definitely. But they're really trying to make this level 7 talent tier a really interesting tier to try to choose between all of these talents. As Glimmer Hope is getting changed as well, where collecting a regeneration globe reduces the cost of your next ray of heaven by 50%. It was 35% before. That's a pretty significant reduction. I mean, obviously you're not going to always be able to have globes to be able to proc this, but definitely early on in the laning phases you'll be able to get some really good use out of this. Mm-hmm. And then energized cord, that is getting changed from Ariel's base attacks being 100%/30% damage to 100%/50%. So that's a increase in her wave clear there.
And that's a double buff because your basic attacks were buffed anyways, and then they buffed the percentage of your basic attack that's used for that.
And that's surprising to me with the Sacred Sweep nerfs. Like, I thought like maybe they were kind of trying to get away from that kind of thing, but... Or am I mistaken and Sacred Sweep's bonus is only on heroes?
That 100% is on heroes. The 30% getting increased to 50% is on non-heroes.
Just energy stored. The Q is a damage nerf.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Okay.
This is energy store, right? So they're okay buffing her healing. They don't want her to do as much damage with her.
Got it.
Q.
Yeah, because it felt like she had a surprising amount of like long-range damage for a support, which no other support really has. You have like roots, traps, and random, what would you call a grenade? Like a
projectile?
Well, yeah, something a
grenade
displacement tool. Got it.
Yeah, displacement.
There you go.
There we go. None of you guys were helping at all.
Useless.
Right.
Charlie, since you play a lot of support, where would you rank Ariel on your tier of healers?
So far, I think she has a much stronger place than Morales in the competitive scene.
Survival-wise or healing-wise?
Just as far as like how Morales is kind of like a pub stomper, I think she will be able to integrate that kind of playstyle where she fits into a very specific team comp very well, like Tassadar does right now. I think she has a chance to almost, I don't want to say dethrone Tassadar, but at least compete in the same kind of realm where she fits really well on a double support. She's very capable of solo supporting though too as well. She'll never be as strong as Rhaegar, Uther,
Kerosene, Brightwing.
Yeah, Brightwing especially. Kerosene is someone you only see played well above the kind of ranks I'm usually playing in. Most of the time, a Kerosene kind of focuses way too much on damage in the casual play and doesn't do enough to bring the support needed to the team. But yeah, and yes, we have a waffle or a raffle to do. So we should do that.
It is open now, so if you go ahead and hit ! raffle, you'll be entered. As we continue to talk about this patch, there's a lot to go through. We're still going to talk a little bit about Aria. I wanted to mention really quickly that Diamond Resolve is also getting changed. That's the upgrade to the Aegis, Crystal Aegis. The damage resistance duration that you get off of that heroic talent is increased from 4 to 5 seconds. So that's like a buffed. What do you? I forget what that warrior talent is at 20 that a lot of them get. Hardened Shield.
Hardened Shield.
Yeah. So this definitely, I think, makes Crystal Aegis a opportunity here, and you could really go with that Diamond Resolve there. If that's assuming you're assuming that it's going to go into late game, which isn't always the case, but 5 seconds of 50% reduced damage, that's pretty incredible on any target either that you put it on.
No, it's a really big deal. That kind of reduction in damage mitigation late game, it's the reason tanks take Ignore Pain.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Ariel changes.
Or Hard
yeah,
Ignore Pain, it's Sonya.
Yeah, Ariel changes look really good. She's already at a 51.5% win rate on Hot Slog, and I imagine that will continue to increase. Moving on to Specialists, though, Sergeant Hammer is getting some love. Her abilities are getting a little bit changed here. The thrusters, her Z ability, now always active while in Alter the Storms. Good quality of life change.
Yep.
Bingo.
Artillery trait now also increases Sergeant Hammer's basic attack range by 20%. It says she has that base talent basically included now.
Yep.
Lethal Blast at level 1 removed. Maelstrom Shells at 4 removed. And at 7, Hypercooling Engines. The cooldown reduction increased from 10 to 15 seconds. And no longer makes thrusters always active while in Halls of the Storm. These are nice, but I don't think this will fix the inherent problems of Hammer.
They said in the comment they're planning to do a deeper dive. Mm-hmm. It's like, let's just do some little more changes right now. But yeah, it's nice. They made Maelstrom Shell's baseline. Thrusters are nice. You know, if you're a Hammer fan out there and you already play her, this helps you out.
Right.
No one's rushing to play Hammer right now. You know, it's not gonna buy her more fans. It's just gonna, you know.
I know. I showed these changes to a friend of the show, Kuma Hikaru, and he lost his mind.
I feel
like he lost his. And what bothered me was he didn't lose his mind over the Maelstrom Shells being baseline now. He lost his mind over the thrusters.
Yeah.
But I was like, of all the things you had to freak out over, it's the one that you probably never take.
Oh, well, yeah, in that case. I mean, at 7, I always felt like First Aid was kind of like you take it because you might need it more, and that extra 5 seconds is going to be a big deal. Because a lot of the times when you're dead on Hammer, you're dead on Hammer. There's no, like, getting out because of First Aid. Or you've already used your, cooldown on your Z and it's gone. But I really feel like this is a dress rehearsal for the main changes that are going to happen, and these are kind of like part of that. And they're like, we want to make sure this doesn't break Hammer. Let's try this for a couple of weeks, and then we'll show you real Hammer.
For sure. I mean, it'll be something good for, like we were saying, Hammer players who are already playing Sergeant Hammer right now.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
They need to do a better job than their initial attempt at Nova.
Yeah.
I mean, the initial attempt at Nova was pretty...
yeah.
Wasn't good.
Definitely a little rough.
I mean, it's okay to throw a hero in the swimming pool, though, and see how it goes. Like, because they made some very bold changes on Nova back when they made all these changes, and they said, okay, they didn't quite go the way we planned, and then they kind of found a good spot for her. She's still not... You're still not going to see her on the competitive scene because her cloaking ability doesn't provide what Zeratil's cloaking ability does because of the alt choices and whatnot. But she still has her place as a fun hero to play, especially in things like unranked, quick match, whatever.
I think people have too much fun playing Find the Nova for her to actually get anywhere.
That is a problem, I will admit. You feel like you can always search for Nova or Abathur. Zeratil, you feel like, that guy could be anywhere. I mean, you're going to mess around with
There's always going to be heroes that are good in quick match and not for competitive. So
yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where a lot of the pro players know how to blow up or plan for. The second that hero gets tipped in a draft type setting amongst those types of players, they're like, all right, well, they committed a lot to that pick. Let's commit our next 2 picks to making them regret picking that character.
Yeah, sadly, Shadowstock no longer grants vision, and Judgment isn't the go-to either.
Yeah. But speaking of Judgment, we're going to talk a little bit about Tyrael, go over these changes as well. His abilities are getting changed. The Eldraune's Might cooldown is increasing from 11 to 12 seconds. That's pretty significant, actually. Judgment, one of his heroics cooldown reduced from 80 to 70, and Sanctification cooldown is increasing from 70 to 80. This isn't going to change anyone picking Sank over Judgment, I don't think.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think it's decent. I still think Judgment's a good heroic, and especially in non-coordinated play, Judgment should probably be your pick. In pro play, I don't know that it'll change anything. Pros are really stubborn.
Yeah.
I still think Judgment's good.
I do too.
Judgment is great, when you know you're going... during the draft phase, if you go, let's let a Kerrigan through because we want a chance to pick this character, or whatever. And then you go, okay, well, we have Judgment. We can just stop this. It's really good for countering those strong melee characters who need to be out a little bit or take chances. Kerrigan, Thrall, Nova. No, but any character who has to present themselves to get their alts and damage off or whatever. Tyrael does a really good job of countering that with Judgment, whereas Sanctification doesn't really lend itself to that because those heroes will just wait out the Sanctification for their chance to blow the team up. If they're smart.
I feel like we saw this at one of the North American regionals. I think it was Gale Force against Naventic, and Naventic picked Medic, and Tyrael was already on the other team, and they just picked Judgment and just bullied Medic the entire game.
And that's a great example.
Yeah.
If you're relying on a hero who needs either space to work or needs to be out front to work, Judgment does a good job of countering that. So Judgment will always be good because it's like, hey, I target this guy, everyone else get away from him. Team, take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the best isolation heroic in the game.
Yeah. And really quickly, we're going to close out this raffle in 30 seconds, so make sure you get your
30 seconds. Everybody make sure you join in.
And we will and we will get those out to the winner. But there is a couple more changes to Tyrael. The level 4 Heraldric Reforging, the cooldown reduction increased from 3 to 5 seconds, so he is getting a little bit of love here.
Yeah, I mean, it's that reduces his Q cooldown, which they nerfed the cooldown, so you can kind of get it back if you take this talent. Which I think it was one of the lower picked talents, so just kind of making the tier more competitive.
Definitely. We're gonna draw the raffle though really quick.
And I just want to, last thing on Tyrael too, I want to say mostly this has been a buff because he got follow through. Follow through is huge on Tyrael.
Oh yeah. And the winner is Dole Gion 1. Congratulations. Thank you for coming by the channel and checking out the show.
$20 in the pocket.
We'll get that to you as soon as we can. Look for
At
that
the end
from
of the show,
yeah.
I will send that to them via Twitch.
Yeah, look for that coming from Balrog fan. And back to Tyrael. Once again, level 7 talents are getting significantly changed as well. Reciprocate on the W. Damage is being reduced from 200 to 170. Angel's Grace on the Q. The movement speed increase from 30 to 40%. Syrian attacks, gone. Follow through, added. So we'll have to see what this does for Tyrael going forward. Level 13, Imposing Will. Fixed a bug that caused the movement speed slow to inconsistently stack with all of movement speed slows. Angelic Absorption. Increase the amount of healing from 156 over 3 seconds to 208 over 4 seconds. And at level 16, Salvation increased bonus shields from 35 to 45% per ally. But you're not going to see anyone picking that because Holy Ground is still going to be the best talent on that tier by far. But some pretty significant changes to Tyrael going forward. Do you think this significantly hurts his ability as a solo tank now?
No, I mean, I don't see anything that made his solo tanking worse.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying anything here that would make me think that his ability to soul tank stuff is hampered.
The
in
Sank
any way.
cooldown and the Eldruin's Might are kind of rough. But, I mean, I guess those are survivability, right? Because that's escape and that's invulnerability. But still, an 80-second cooldown isn't bad. And with the follow-through being an option, I don't know. I think he'll be... I mean, their goal was a nerf. If it is one, it's slight. I think he just will be slightly different.
Yeah, he might fall back into a double tank spot more often than not, but I don't think it hampers his solo tank viability at all. Like, and the fact that I'm saying that's so weird to me, just because Tyrael was always a bruiser type like Sonya, and you wouldn't pick just straight up Sonya. You would pair him or her with another tank that had more sustain, stun, etc., etc. But you know, it's just how I think Tyrael should be played. I think he always works better as a bruiser, and these changes don't really impact his bruising ability that much.
Mm-hmm. So overall, I think these are some pretty good changes for the health of the game. We've seen a lot of just usage of Greymane and Tyrael, and especially Greymane and Tyrael in combination, especially at the highest levels. Briefly, before we move on, this is already becoming a really long show because these patch notes there's always a lot to talk about. But this patch will be used for the second Heroes Regional for Fall for North America, and that gives people 10 days basically to figure out this patch and see if that produces any changes for these teams' lineups. Do you think this is a good thing for Blizzard to kind of just push these changes forward, even with the pro scene having to deal with these in such a short amount of time? Do you think, personally, I think it's a good thing, and it's really good for the scene to see these changes quickly happening, and pro teams will be able to show these changes off quickly on the stage at PAX. There was a lot of discussion on Twitter about it, and there's definitely a big split 50-50 between the community. And I think kind of one of the more controversial things was that the last Europe final was played on the previous patch, and they had a couple days where they couldn't practice at all on that patch, which was a little weird. So it just looks like Blizzard, I think, needs to be more consistent in how they want to run these tournaments as far as the patches go. Carl, what do you think?
I do think it's made awkward by the fact that EU and NA tournaments happen like in alternating weeks and before and after patches. So I do think the argument for a tournament realm makes sense, where they can play, even just a week behind, where they get the extra 7 days. So now instead of a 10-day chance to scrim on it, they get 17 or whatever. I mean, they wouldn't even be playing on that, really. They'd be playing on the current one, and they get extra time on the new one. I don't think it's. I mean, I'm not a pro player, and I know for them, for what's at stake, things rapidly changing. Grayman was big. We don't think he will be anymore. That can suck. But that's also that is part of your job, is adapting. So I would prefer a little more time for them to react, but I don't think that it's just impossible for them to.
I think the best thing, and it was brought up on Twitter earlier in a conversation that I was kind of like commenting on, the server or the tournament realms are going to be a thing moving forward, and that's kind of this like growing into the scene kind of thing, where the tournaments will be played on a different like server realm than most players are playing on, which would allow them to retain whatever was in the meta at the time when the tournaments were played amongst the NA and EU players, so it doesn't give either side a different advantage or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And it's something that, you kind of learn on the fly, because it's hard to balance, the ESL schedule against, required balance changes for the masses versus, the small percentage of people who play this game at a professional level.
I mean, this has been a problem for pretty much all esports going forward. I've seen this a lot with StarCraft. I feel like I've made this point before, but there was a tournament where they changed Roach supply limit requirement and dropped it down by 1, and Zerg just like steamrolled that whole tournament because no one had any idea how to deal with roaches, the amount of roaches that were coming out. But we'll have to see. Artifice, I want to hear what you thought about this. Do you think this is healthy for the pro scene, or is it something that kind of distracts away from the best team winning?
I don't know. I always think that sort of thing is a strange thing, where it's always is it in or is it out with the changes? Because I feel like there's always a difference. Like, one time a character will be banned for a tournament, and another time it won't be. It depends on the tournament, depends on the level of like seriousness and how long they've had in between. I don't really know. It's a difficult thing, because say the changes happen while they're traveling there. Like, do they have to force themselves into practice when they don't have their enough time on their own personal systems to function through these changes? Or is it, you're in the pro scene, you should adapt faster and you should be able to do any of this? It's kind of a weird balance, but it's always been that way, even when it was just like World of Warcraft raids, the changes and the end game at BlizzCon. Like, it was always a different thing. I don't know. I didn't really see too much problem with it in the European one this past weekend, so I don't think it has too much effect other than like keeping people on their toes.
Willie?
Well, I think it's negligible for the scene. I think you're going to see teams adapt, and the teams that are better, who are faster thinking, better equipped to adapt to changes on the fly, are the teams that are going to succeed in their early on, rather than teams that are more mechanically skilled, have better teamwork, stuff like that. So the teams that are more known for going ham and doing really weird drafts, et cetera, are the teams that are going to jump way ahead. So you're probably gonna see a team you didn't expect to win the regional probably win this particular qualifier. So it's going to be very interesting. I like it when things get shaken up, shook up, shake it off, whatever.
Calm down, Taylor Swift.
But it's going to be really interesting to see how this qualifier plays out. I do expect to see some Ariel picks, though. I think she's getting slept on. If we don't see her at this qualifier, I am pretty confident we're going to see her at BlizzCon.
I think we'll see her at qualifier.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we'll see her at the qualifier.
I do think
she definitely brings way more than expected to the table.
Mm-hmm. Just real quick on Willie's point about, I think some people call them like patch zergs or whatever. I think there are some people who are on like the really mechanically gifted teams or whatever. They have really good teamwork and they just adapt slowly. They always point out like, oh, this team didn't deserve to win. They just got lucky on the patch. But like, I think that's a skill. I think being able to adapt quickly to new patches is something that they're good at, and they use it for that tournament, and they earned that victory.
Exactly. Yeah. It's God. I just had a thought and I lost it. It's the team where they're, like Carl said, they're not mechanically skilled, but they make up for that lack of mechanics in their creativity in their drafts. That's what I was gonna say. Like, they come out with interesting drafts, like really silly stuff that you might not think would work, but then you see it in action and it's like, oh, wow, that worked a little too well. I didn't think of that. Like, example, Dota 2. I got to use Dota 2 because there's no equivalent example. Using Tusk into techies. You'd snowball in, which makes you absolutely invulnerable, and then you have techie suicide on top of whoever you hit, doing an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. Like, people didn't think of that at first, and then Complexity ended up doing that. And everybody's like, oh, God, that's disgusting. So, I mean, like, teams who can think like that, with a tournament this close post-patch, they're gonna excel. They're gonna run away with it because people aren't gonna, the other teams aren't gonna be able to match that level of creativity. Some of these teams may have been kicking around ideas for a while now, saying, "Hey, I really want to try this. I think this could work. All we need is just a little bit of a change." And then that change comes in, and they're like, "Oh, this is absolutely viable at this point." So it shakes up the meta really hard, and sometimes little things like that, like a team just doing some really weird draft, like, will completely influence the meta. Like Cho'Gall on small maps. Nobody thought Cho'Gall was viable until it came out that My Insanity had actually been scrimming Cho'Gall on some maps back when the first big Cho'Gall buff patch came out. And then everyone was just, what's going on? Is this an actual thing? And it turned out, yes, it's incredibly viable, actually. I'm done.
I concur.
You're gonna punctuate your sentence there too.
But going forward through the esports news, we had a lot of Heroes action this past week. We had the EU finals at Gamescom. Spoilers if you don't want to find out about who won EU.
Hi.
Quiet. Mute us or
3,
something.
2, 1, stay off the internet.
But we had it actually go to a final game in a best of 5 between Dignitas and Misfits, the former My Insanity team, with Dignitas winning their second regional of the fall season, and this meant we had to go to a tiebreaker game between Fnatic and Misfits, and it might have been
got the second seed.
To see who got the second European seed to BlizzCon. And holy smokes, that was a series. It went down to game 3 in the best of 3, and that final game, it was on Cursed Hollow. There were 0 kills for over 20 minutes.
It was about 26 minutes was the first kill?
Yeah, it was
5 minutes and 1 second was the first kill.
How was it?
It was on Uther, who had redemption.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it was level 20, guys.
Even Grubby was like, well, that doesn't count because it was a redemption kill. So it was really funny. But in the end of it, Fnatic was able to move on to BlizzCon. Misfits kind of made a call.
Is dumb.
No.
I was so mad at them.
No. Are you mad at them?
I'm mad at them. It was a terrible call.
Probably exhausted.
No, I don't even care. Grubby called it out. He said if they gambled that, they wouldn't react as quickly as they would for the win, because they had already hit a point where they were getting pushed back and the map was over. So they took a chance, and literally, if Fanatics didn't react as quickly as they did, if they had reacted even 3 to 5 seconds later to that sudden push,
it was
lost
30% on the core.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
it
was really close.
they took a 50-50 shot there, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They knew, like, they had made it this far, they had made it this... They were misfits, versus Fnatic. They had made it this far, they had done so much to get to this point, and they had one shot at that point to surprise the enemy team and upset them and take a win and be at BlizzCon. It didn't work out for them, but I will never be mad at them for that call.
Carl's still mad.
Carl looks...
I don't think they needed it. I think they were winning most of those... Nothing was definitive, right? There was one kill before that. But I think they had a slight edge in most of those skirmishes. Their Abathur, Fnatic's Abathur, was not getting any value out of his ult. And Zagara with Nidus was countering Abathur's push. So Abathur was basically useless in that game. And I think Misfits... you have a point, is that somebody had to make a move sometime. I just think that was too drastic a move.
Zagara's presence, as far as like global, is more backwards, whereas Abathur's is more forwards. Zagara is able to cover a lot of the map where they own the map. So the farther you get pushed back, the less her effectiveness is. Whereas it's the opposite for Abathur. The more it's pushed back, the more he has an advantage. You push back all three forwards, suddenly all of that is Abathur's lane, where less of that is Zagara's lane. So they were in a situation where they were losing global presence slowly.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a super risky player, though, so maybe that's just me, how I like to play the game. It was a good series, though. Oh, and it was impressive. The team's just like, we don't want to give up really big advantages, we'll just go with the small one and all that stuff. They played smart.
Yeah, I think also we had Misfits, I think, had gotten 2 curses by the time that they had pushed there. So, I mean, they were definitely ahead as far as structures, but...
Yeah, they were.
Jeez, that was... To lose on that is absolutely heartbreaking, and man, I hope they stick together as a team, though, because they have really pushed the meta, and I think in a different direction than it was kind of going, and they've always been really good and been high up there in the EU. But in America, North America, we had our qualifiers for PAX, and they are completed now, so we have qualifying this week Astral Dumpster Tier Superstars, who is getting their name changed, by the way. Team name change and imported support all qualified in the 2 qualifiers that were this week. I got to cast some of those with Tempo KO, and there were some really awesome games. And really, the big surprise was Vox Nihili not qualifying after their top 4 run in that first regional. They went to 2 qualification games, and they both went to game 3, and they lost them both, unfortunately. So that was a rough loss for them.
Question: didn't Vox Nihili drop somebody off their roster?
They recently? Did. They added McIntyre to their roster. I forget who they dropped, though.
Well, I guess Barrel Boys needs to roll on out of here, and they need the other person back on. I'm just saying, I'm not saying McIntyre's the problem, but I'm sorry, McIntyre. Please don't hate me.
Yeah, but Astral looks really good with the addition of Equinox now. Look for people to really be targeting that Illidan, because any game he had gotten Illidan on was just crazy.
Dirty.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, they joined the other 4 teams that qualified. Obviously, Murloc Geniuses and Gale Force from getting top 2. Naventic and Denial Esports will be there as well. So, did any of you guys get to catch any of the qualifiers? Or
I was on my honeymoon.
Yeah, you were.
I can imagine that conversation. Not. Hold on, honey. The finals are on.
Oh man. But yeah, there were some really good games, especially Vox Nihili and Astral. If you get a chance to check out that series, there were some really close base races there. Almost similar to a certain extent to the Dignitas or Fnatic and Misfit series a little bit, but not quite as dramatic as that. But
there's one thing I want to talk about, like in the pro meta regarding that Fnatic and Misfits match. In the second match, I believe Fnatic had a very strong advantage on Infernal Shrines simply because they went double bruiser or double tank. but basically both tanks were bruisers. I think that's the kind of team comp that really lends strength to that map. So if you are able to pick that up and work that strategy there, it means a lot, especially Arthas. Arthas does so much work with his zone control and his ability to clear waves. So, and they closed that game out basically because Arthas, I mean, he can walk that Punisher along the path and create good situations for a team that's pushing. Very few tanks have that power, so I think we're going to see more of Arthas on that map for sure. And I know that's a tangent away from what we were talking about, but I meant to get that.
Arthas is good, guys.
Yeah, Arthas is good, especially on Infernal Shrines, though.
Yeah, Arthas has his spot, and I feel like we don't see him as much in NA as we do in EU, and maybe that's kind of always been the case. I feel like.
Yeah.
Even when Arthas was considered like unplayable by pro teams, it seemed like EU was still playing him.
He creates an advantage with Syndragosa that no other hero can create while pushing, which is shutting down forts.
Except Sylvanas.
Sylvanas can't shut down 2 towers and a fort throughout an entire team push.
I mean, he does it safer than she does, but
right. A tank does it. She has to get up and risk. If she dies, that advantage is gone. Or if she misses the rotation on the skills, he just cast it. It's done once it's done. No other hero can really do what he can do in the sense that he's a bruiser and he creates that situation.
No, he's definitely good.
Would you say he's the best?
Around?
Yes.
No one's ever going to take him down.
I just feel like he's very underrated as far as like when people are thinking about who they want to pick for a bruiser. There's a lot of like, oh, Sonya's the bruiser we need to take. That's not always the case. Sonya's the bruiser you need to take if there's going to be a lot of fights in the middle of the map. If you plan on putting pressure on a map with a specialist, Arthas is a much better choice. But that's just a side tangent related to match 2 of a series we're not talking about anymore, so I'm going to shut up.
Oh man, but that gets us pretty close to our hour runtime that we try to condense this into. We did get to one story this week that hopefully we'll be able to touch on next week, so I'll tease you with that for episode 72 of the Heroes Power. But coming up for those of you who are watching us live is our game portion, where last week we got to play a bunch of ARAMs with some of the viewers, and it was a whole lot of fun. So if you can stick around, make sure to join the channel BlizzPro in Heroes of the Storm, and we'll make sure to get you in. I do want to note, though, that our Patreons do have first priority into these After Hours games. That is at patreon.com/heroespowerhour. Just helps us out with the cost of the show. Hardware issues, software issues. There's 5 different people running computers here, so lots of stuff can come up. It really helps us make the show better and help to provide prizes for you as well. We also added a new tier at the $5 mark. You can choose all of our heroes to play during the After Hours show if that is something you're interested in.
Well, probably if we have several, you each get to choose like one of our heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we might actually need to change that too moving forward, because ARAM was such a hit last week. I feel like we have to do ARAM now. So it's not really fair to say, like, choose our heroes for ARAM. All random.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out the show, and thank you once again to Blizzard for promoting us on the launcher and on social media. That is so awesome.
Thank you.
Make sure you check out heroesofthestorm.blizzpro.com for all sorts of wonderful articles. Alebeard does a really great job with those articles. If you're curious, if you missed stuff at Gamescom, there's a whole ton of stuff that he put into a big kind of mega post of changes at Gamescom. One of them I wanted to put this on the show notes, but I totally forgot. But the mounts getting changed from 140% to 130% speed, so that'll be an interesting change going forward. But also build guides are there as well. Willie will be, like he alluded to, he's going to be putting one up for Gul'dan very soon. Also check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/BlizzPro. That is where we put all our videos for the show, as well as on this channel, twitch.tv/BlizzPro. there are many other wonderful podcasts all throughout the week. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific is the West March workshop for Diablo 3. Check it out for the latest season news and all the wonderful stuff happening in the world of Diablo. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific is another show that I'm on, the Payload Podcast, about Overwatch. A lot to talk about this week with the new map that did get announced at Gamescom and is on the PTR currently. Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific is Well Met, the Hearthstone podcast for Blizz Pro. Make sure to check that out if you're at all interested in Blizzard's free-to-play card game, especially with the new Karazhan expansion out now.
You are not allowed to snore, by the way. You talked about Dota today.
This is different from every day?
Oh, man.
It's true.
We are Blizz Pro, not Dota Pro. So
Right.
Dota.
Don't give him any ideas.
Valve. It would be Valve Pro, I think.
Yeah.
But one more thing before we go. Make sure to check out our Discord as well. Discord.blizzpro.com will get you the invite for that. So we can coordinate some of these games as well there. That's pretty much it for me. Thanks again. No, seriously, thank you, Blizzard, for promoting us. I absolutely love this program. There's been a lot of really cool other really cool channels promoted as well all throughout the week. So make sure to check those out as well. I was checking out Heroes of Fitness yesterday. It's this really cool channel of this married couple who they play Hero League games, and then when they finish their game, they show you exercise routines. So
they were doing rolling squats yesterday when I turned on it on.
And Jimmy tweeted watching it eating hot dogs.
I had just gotten home from work. I was like, I need food, but I'm gonna watch this anyways. So
I thought you were just gonna tell me it's Dreadnought on a treadmill playing Heroes again.
No, that was Dunk Train.
That was Dunk Train.
Yeah, get it right.
Sorry. Jeez.
But yeah.
There at the end.
Charlie, any shout outs?
Just check out my various works. You can see it all on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/PowerHour fan. I have a YouTube channel, same deal. I do a podcast. It's a drunken action movie review comedy thing. That's Flask Action Hero, so if you want to see that. It's a ridiculous train wreck, and I recommend everyone listen.
Train wrecks are always fun to watch.
Yes.
Zex, how about you?
Yeah, sure. I'm Zexorus, and this is my podcast. I work with my old man and my son, Big Jimmy. And in 3 years, I've learned one thing. You never know what's going to come through that nexus.
God, you make it sound like an AA meeting.
They just laughed.
Oh, my gosh.
I just turned the stream over and all I saw was them both get up at the same time and leave. Oh, that couldn't have been more perfect in my opinion.
Oh my goodness.
Are we rioting? Is that what's happening here?
Shall we move on to Flame?
Oh crap, hang on guys. I have actual things that aren't part of a comedic bit. Our user who won the Blizz Pro BattleNet raffle is in the EU region, and I only have an NA code. So we can either re-raffle right now, or we can save it for next week. What do you guys think?
I'm going to draw the raffle here. Because I still have that open. So ADE
give people a minute to enter.
ADE 494.
Just draw it. Sure.
It's out there. It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
Jimmy has no time.
I just re-rolled on the entries that were already in there.
Jimmy
So
doesn't care whether or not you had a chance to join. Dolgen, I will figure out a different way to compensate your win.
we'll get something for you.
Mm-hmm. So who was this person that won?
ADE 494.
Cool. Congratulations, man. Or lady.
Let's see. Oh.
Don't assign genders.
Wow.
Jeez.
Is that a thing I shouldn't say? I'm confused.
All right, who's got the lobby?
All right. Carl, anything else before we close out the show?
That person is no longer in chat.
Okay, yeah, we're going to re-roll this. We're going to reopen this in just a second, but we're going to close out the show.
Save it till next week, I'm just saying.
We're going to close out the show Thank you, everyone, for watching episode 71 of the Heroes Power Hour. We'll see you next week and in the Nexus.